Hey everyone, good evening. April and Stubborn here. He's in his PJs. Isn't he so cute? Oh my god. I just love these friggin' PJs. Oh. It's really hard to just not want to just squeeze you. So, I want to do a video tonight. While I snuggle my boy, about feline herpes virus. So everybody gets the information they need to know about feline herpes. I think a lot of cat owners nowadays are very aware of feline herpes and understanding for the most part what it is, especially those people who have the hairless breeds, because their immune systems tend to be on the less strong side and can just be a bit more prone to chronic illness kind of situations like the herpes virus. However, there's still a lot of misinformation and miseducation surrounding herpes virus, so want to try to clear some of that up tonight. So the number one point to make with feline herpes virus is for everyone to know that every cat has feline herpes. Really, every single cat, no matter what breed or where you got your cat from or what cattery, shelter or whatnot. Every cat has it. Even Stubborn has it. Yeah, you have herpes. Now, that being said, feline herpes is not the same as what some people may automatically think of herpes, which is in humans, like genital herpes. Feline herpes in cats causes upper respiratory symptoms and problems. It's nothing to do with the reproductive system at all. Hi Sherry, hi Amber. So in these guys, the infection is more similar to in humans like herpes 1 simplex, which is the herpes virus that causes like cold sores on someone's mouth. Except these guys typically don't get lesions, although they can. More frequently, the symptoms of feline herpes is going to be repetitive sneezing, especially repetitive sneezing where it's multiple times over and over, like sneeze, 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 and watery eye kind of situation. So the fact is that every cat has it, and I relate this when I'm telling people about feline herpes to think about humans and chicken pox. Everybody gets chicken pox. I don't know, I think there's a vaccine now, though you don't have to get it, but before the vaccine, like every single person had it. You just get it as kids because it's already passed along in your system. So that's how it is with cats. All cats have it, and they're going to acquire the virus from the mom cat when they're in utero, and they're going to be born with it. So that maybe sounds like, that could be a bad thing, but really, they get the virus when they're young, but they also get the antibodies for it from their mom. So in most cases, a cat's going to grow up and never have any problems with the virus. Cat like Stubborn, I've known him since he was born. He's never even had a single cold, so he's never had an outbreak, we call it, of the virus. The virus is just in his body, but his immune system puts it in its place and takes care of it, just like if you were to get, when you got chicken pox as a kid, you had your outbreak once, and then your body took care of it and sustained it, and your immune system put it in its place and kept it under wraps. It's never completely gone. It's always still in your body, but you're not constantly having chicken pox. So that's how it is with cats. and the feline herpes virus. So they get the virus and it just stays contained. That's best case scenario. Now, what happens sometimes in situations is if the kitten or the cat immune system gets weakened, either by many situations, typically the biggest one's going to be stress. Second factor could be poor diet, especially if there's an overcrowding situation in a shelter, in a cattery, or even in a household with pet cats. There's additional stress from that. Toxins in the environment if they're exposed to toxins. And the other biggest thing is another primary infection. So those factors can lead to this virus coming out of its dormant state and becoming active, or what we call shedding the virus, where the cat is actively sick and shedding the virus, sneezing and having watery eyes and symptoms. So that situation can happen from many different times in life, when they're going through, especially a kitten that's getting adopted and they're flying to their new home, or they're traveling to their new home, or their family moves or adopts another pet. Those are all things that are very stressful to the cat. If family travels and the cat has someone new coming to the home, or going to a boarding facility, which we usually really highly recommend against. But all those stressful situations can be enough for the stress to lower your cat's immune function and allow this virus to become active and start shedding. So those are all things to be mindful of, and do your best with your cat to reduce their stress level to keep them healthy. Number 2 factor is good diet. A lot of the immune function, actually 80% of their immune function is in their guts and their digestive tract. So it's very critical to be feeding them a quality diet, a species appropriate diet we call it, which would be a high protein diet for cats is what's correct, since they're carnivores. So it needs to be an all canned food diet or a raw food diet, not dry food. Kibble is not recommended because it's too low in protein and too hard in carbohydrates, and over time that disrupts their digestive system, which in turn lowers their immune system and can lead to chronic illness with things like the herpes virus. And then cat numbers. Cats are not pack animals like dogs. They require a lot of space in their own territory. So, in an animal shelter, this is kind of hard to prevent, but even in good shelters, they do the best to section off cats as best they can and keep them separated. And then in a multi-cat household, you just want to be mindful, trying to keep your numbers low as possible. Typically, most cats are going to do best in a home with only 5 cats maximum. Any more than that, and you tend to get a lot of cat behavior, stress-induced behavior issues. And then from a cattery, if you're adopting a cat from a cattery, you really want to be mindful of the number of cats that your breeder has in their home. Typically we say, like a max of 8 cats in the cattery is about the number where you're at your max. Kind of any more than that, and we see catteries starting to have mass cattery-wide problems of outbreaks of shedding of infections like the feline herpes virus. So those are things to consider there. And then the last factor is your cat acquiring a primary infection, and this is a situation that I've come across to be a bit of a problem over the last couple of years as I've been working with this breed and working with kitty owners, is a lot of people and veterinarians are very aware of the feline herpes virus now, and they know that a virus can't be treated with antibiotics, only a bacteria can be treated with antibiotics. So they're tending to not throw antibiotics at every case of, your cat having a illness now, like they maybe would have before, which is a good thing because too many antibiotics can cause issues with the immune system and kind of create superbug issues in your cats. Oh, sorry. That's what I get for doing a late night video. However, on the other hand, what I tend to see now sometimes is a lot of veterinarians being very leery of giving an antibiotic and just labeling an infection as feline herpes virus. And then calling it a chronic herpes virus, which is a problem because typically a virus, if any of us know, like the stomach bug or the flu, comes on fast, hits hard, makes you really sick for a few days, and resolves. A virus is typically not a chronic ongoing situation. So in a lot of these cases, people I talk to, their cats have been sick for months, like months on end, with sneezing and watery eyes and whatnot, and their vets are telling them it's feline herpes virus. So in those situations, I caution people to make sure that their veterinarian has at least tried an antibiotic therapy, and if they haven't, to try that, or if they have and if it's not resolved, to actually get what's called an upper respiratory panel done, which looks for, like, they'll actually do a sedation and do a throat culture of your cat's throat, and they'll send it off for lab testing, and this way you're able to diagnose exactly what is causing your cat's chronic illness problem. Because oftentimes there'll be a bacterial infection or two, something like a Bordetella or Mycoplasma or strep infection that's causing this chronic infection situation. Bacterial infections tend to be the ones that are more chronic, that will make you sick and you'll stay sick for months and months and months. Viruses not. Viruses usually hit hard, make you sick, resolve. So that's something to consider if you're in one of those situations, is have your veterinarian test your cat and make sure that you don't have a chronic bacterial infection going on. Because typically those primary infections of the chronic bacterial infection is what's going to cause the immune system to be lowered, because over time their body's constantly fighting this chronic bacterial infection and not getting rid of it. So the immune system is just getting weakened and weakened over time. And then that starts to allow the things like feline herpes virus to flare up and become a problem. So, this is a situation that I liken to in people if, say you have someone with a lower immune system, older person maybe, and they get like pneumonia infection. A lot of times that's going to be piggybacked by a shingles outbreak, which shingles is reactivation of that chickenpox virus that you had years ago when you were a kid. Typically it's not just, shingles. There's a preceding factor, either some big emotional stress or some kind of illness, and then that allows the virus to flare. So that's one thing that I want to caution and make sure everybody knows. Don't just see, oh, my cat has watery eyes and it's sneezing. Oh, it's herpes virus. There's nothing you can do about the virus. Just let your cat be sick. Or, your vet's telling you that, make sure, spend the money, do the respiratory panel, and make sure that's really the situation you have going on. So then if you get to that point and everything else is ruled out and you still have a kitty that's sick with the feline herpes virus, one thing you can try that has been anecdotally successful. There's been studies that are kind of like, sometimes it shows that it's effective and sometimes not, but in our history over 13 years of doing this and with experience, we have seen in a lot of cases this treatment does work. And it's a natural amino acid called L-lysine. I know it's backwards for you guys. Sorry. And the dose would be 1,000 milligrams a day. So you can split it up into 2 doses, 500 in the morning, which this is 500 milligrams. 500 milligrams in the morning, 500 milligrams in the evening. And you want to do that every day as long as your cat's symptoms persist. So you can do it. Usually that's going to run about 7 to 10 days until the flare-up of the herpes virus resolves. Then also it's a good idea to use the lysine as a prophylactic technique. So let's say tomorrow I know I'm going out of town and someone new is going to be coming in to take care of Stubborn. I'm going to start him on the L-lysine and have the caregiver give the lysine in his food twice a day, every day, and that's going to work kind of as a preventative. So sort of like a person, maybe you're going through a stressful time or traveling or something, and you might double up on your vitamin C, let's say. That's sort of like what doing L-lysine is going to do for your cat, to help your cat. So that's a natural treatment option for feline herpes. I know. He's like, Mom, I'm getting so tired. And a couple other options, if you've gone down the path and you've ruled out that your cat's having a chronic illness issue and it's not bacterial related and it is a viral thing, feline herpes virus or even other things, there's other viruses like Colicky virus that can become chronic for cats. There are a couple new medications now that are available for cats, and they're antiviral medications. One of them would be famciclovir. I believe they even use acyclovir in cats now. And then there's a treatment called interferon. So those are possibilities to talk with your vet about. And just like in humans, if you think of someone with a chronic viral infection, some people with like chronic Epstein-Barr virus or even HIV/AIDS virus, a lot of these people are on antiviral medications, or the human herpes virus. A lot of people are on antivirals every day, and they can be highly, highly effective and very safe with very little side effects. So that's a real possibility that you can try on your cat and help reduce their suffering. But of course, that would be last resort after any bacterial infection things are ruled out. Anything else, buddy? So yeah, that's about it, and if your cat, has a little flare-up of an upper respiratory illness, it's a great idea to take them to your vet to be checked and make sure there's nothing serious going on. But, typically it's going to resolve pretty quickly on its own. As long as it's not very severe, you might just watch it for a couple days and do the typical things you would do when you're sick, like give your cat extra fluids. You can do that by putting some extra filtered water into their food. It's a good idea to add just a small pinch of salt. I recommend using the pink Himalayan salt, and that gives your cats a little bit of extra electrolytes to help keep them from being dehydrated while they're sick. And you can even do like a little hot steam in your bathroom to try to open up their sinuses and stuff. So, just normal TLC stuff like you would do for yourself with a cold. And, that's it. And just keep a good eye on your baby. So I think we covered everything about herpes virus. And Stubbins says that he does not have herpes virus. He's very embarrassed about this conversation. No, but it's actually, something that all of us need to be aware of. All of us kitty owners. And, nothing to be really, overly concerned about or afraid about, but just be sure that we're understanding what it is and everything that entails so we know how to keep our babies healthy and happy. Right? So good night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.